All right, let's see here. Microphone check. Microphone check. Is that a test there? That's a mute. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're live. I think we are live. So let me go ahead and do a quick check here. What's up, Doug? Can you hear me? You get a 1 if you can hear me, or let me know if the audio is good because I'm trying out a new microphone system. So good. Okay. Good. You can hear? All right. So I got a lavalier mic, a wireless microphone. So I'm gonna test. I'm gonna walk away. Okay. I'm gonna keep talking. You guys just let me know if you can hear, so I can check out the system. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm walking away and I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm walking. Right. And let me know if the wireless is on point. Let me know. Let me know. Wireless microphone. Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds great. Still can hear. Okay, good. It works. It works then, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. You know what? This is the for real live stream. So I don't have the basketball shorts on. I actually got my pants on. I got my big boy pants on. I got the shoes and everything. I busted out the new socks, everything. You know, like Warren G said, brand new socks and drawers. What's up, Nicer? We're gonna have to figure out as we go here how to make people. Let me see here. Participants, total time share, pop out chat. Let's see if I can pop out the chat. Okay, good. I'll pop it out and I put it over here, and then I can look at that independently. Good. So I'm learning this thing as we go along here. Allow me to arrange my screen. Welcome to Doug. Welcome to Kwasi. Thank you very much. You guys were here yesterday, and you're here again today. All right. I'm going to be figuring out how to get people wrenches. Figuring out how to get people wrenches here in a second, right? Yes. Short copy says he hears me from afar. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to give a little bit of time here, for a few more people to come in. Okay, we got 8 people in the chat. As a matter of fact, I'm not quite sure. You know what? How about dropping in the chat where you guys are from? Trying to get a sense for the reach out here. Yesterday during the test, some people are from the UK, some people are in the Midwest, some in the East Coast. We have any West Coast people in the house? Wow, New York. So thank you very much. New York was actually my first destination when I moved from Nigeria. I moved from Nigeria in 2000, and Minneapolis in the house, Miami in the house, another New York, DC. 2000, I moved from Nigeria to the United States, and I lived in New York. New York was my first destination before I moved to California. I moved to Southern California and then moved all over Southern California. For those of you who know, Southern California is pretty big. So a lot of moving going on. There are a lot of opportunities to move, going on in Southern California. And then I moved to Northern California about 4 years ago. So definitely was an original New Yorker. Virginia, we got the East Coasters, 3 p.m. I think there was a Bears game today, right? Was there a Bears game, ladies and gentlemen. I did not know. I was working. Generally don't follow that stuff, but I like to stay abreast of it from afar. Okay. We got 9 people in the chat. We got 9 people in the chat. Okay. London. London town. London town in the house. Miami in the house. Shout out to Nicer from Minneapolis. The game is still going on. Competing with the NFL right now. Yes, 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 yes. That's a worthy competitor. You always want to measure yourself against worthy competitors. So, yes, I'm sure the people can have the live stream going on while they watch the game, but we're gonna get right into it. Okay, we're not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna get right into it. So, if you guys are ready, why don't you hit a 1 in the chat? Just get a 1 in the chat if you think we're ready to dive right into this. Yeah, Nicer's ready. Nicer's always ready. Good. Good, 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 good. So, yesterday, I kind of telegraphed what today's live stream was going to be about. And I did a little test and we had a little conversation. And I kind of figured out basically how I'm able to rock this system. And let me go ahead and start out like this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to read out basically what I say in the description. Okay, what it says in the description, I'm going to read out verbatim. Okay, and I'm going to give a couple of premises, a couple of things that are implied and baked into the pie for this particular stream, for this particular topic. And then we're going to start discussing. And then I'm going to use the chart here. Okay, I'll open up a fresh page. Don't worry about this page, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to open up the chart there and take notes, and we're going to discuss and we're going to share ideas about energy management, regulating your energy. So I say here, working 12 to 16-hour days are a must. So that's just kind of baked in the pie, right? But how can one be effective and efficient during these long periods? I would like to introduce my pyramid method, which is a systems checklist, okay? A systems checklist, which is a dashboard with different gauges with which you check a system, and the system is you, your subjective consciousness, and your body and your mind. Okay, how do you create a dashboard, and then how do you check the dashboard, and then, okay, at the elite level, how do you actually start creating little knobs on these gauges whereby you can actually change things, regulate things? Not just, first of all, you got to be aware of it, create a system for checking it, and then you're going to be able to regulate things, most especially using your mind to regulate things like your heart rate, so on and so forth, right? It's basic, it's simple, but it takes years of practice to be able to get there. So, continuing just to read verbatim what I have here in the description, saying the pyramid method, which is a systems checklist for making sure your energy regulation is on point. Okay, so this would just be an introduction, and I will continue to elaborate on these different aspects of this pyramid in future videos. And as a matter of fact, I have already introduced aspects of this in previous videos where I talk about how to be the most comfortable person in the room, listening to your ears, watching what your hands are doing, and those kinds of things, okay? Those are all ways of starting to get in touch with what's going on with you, okay? What's going on with you, right? So let me go ahead and build this as we fly. Interactive TED Talk, right? Fitness. I'm waiting for this since I heard him speak on Kevin Samuels. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to, just kind of show Appreciation, okay? Definitely appreciate it. We all have limited amount of time on this earth. Time is the most precious resource. So for you guys have been spending 1 minute, 2 minutes, right, on here interacting is definitely much appreciated. Okay. And I am forever grateful for that. So I read verbatim what I said in the description. But now I'm going to talk about the premises, okay? The premises, which I mentioned also yesterday, and I need to stop talking about yesterday. Yesterday was a test. Okay. So the premises are as follows, okay? Long hours are given in order to be effective, in order to grow, in order to make lasting change, in order to set yourself apart. Now, when I say set yourself apart, I don't necessarily just mean setting yourself apart from other people. I mean setting yourself apart from your past self, okay? So you want to treat yourself as a community, okay? I talked about being kind to your future self in one of my previous videos. That means you need to look at yourself as a past self, a present self, and possible other future selves. You have to treat this as a community. And also, even within your particular conscious mind at a particular time, there's a community going on there. Okay, it's not just one person. Okay, is that making sense? Hit a one in the chat if this community idea makes sense to you, right? So when I say setting yourself apart, and I'm just talking about the premises, and I can't help but digressing, ladies and gentlemen, so forgive me. The premise that basically long hours are important in order to make lasting change, in order to set yourself apart. I think the first and foremost thing you need to understand is it is not about setting yourself apart from other people. That's going to be a given, but it's about setting yourself apart from your past self. Okay, so treat yourself as a community is a very useful idea in and way to get things done and to build self-esteem. I talked in my past video about if you make your life easier for yourself, when your past self rolls into the future, it's going to say, hey, you know what? That Ike guy is okay with me. I like that guy. He set up the coffee machine for me. He set up my cufflinks and my shoe. He polished my shoes last night. He arranged my laptop bag. He prepared for the meeting. He set up my workout clothes. He's a good guy. Okay. And the more you get this kind of little dopamine kick from your past self, right? The more you're going to want to do more and more of that. So basically, I'm talking about setting yourself apart. The main person you want to set yourself apart from is your past self, because you don't really know what's going on with other people, and it's not a useful gauge. Okay, it's not a very useful gauge to think about other people too much. Okay, what you want to do is compare yourself with who you were yesterday, who you were last year, and you want to compete against that guy. You want to outpace that guy. You want to outrun that guy. So reading the premises, okay, just elaborating on premise number one, which is that long hours are needed for this. Okay, whether you need to grow your business, make more money, get more fit, and basically in life we have to do all those. So we're talking about doing all these things, right? So the fact that long hours are needed and the fact that many people have elaborated upon this is well known, whether it be Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, you know, the whole sleeping underneath your desk thing, right? I've started the business in the garage and we slept in the office. Success leaves clues, okay? These are clues that there is no shortcut. You cannot cheat the game. You cannot cheat the game. So when people over and over and over and over keep saying the same things, it's simple. I don't mean it's easy. What I mean is it's simple, right? It's not complex. It's not a complex system. What they're saying is not complex. So, number two, okay? Number two premise, number two item that is implied and baked into the pie for this video is that you've already cut out all the time wasting activities from your life. Okay, that you're not wasting time, in other words. Okay, so about 20 years ago, as a matter of fact, right when I moved to the States, and started college. I cut out TV from my life. Cassandra B in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So premise number 2 is that you've already cut out all the time wasting activities from your life. And it is the legend of Salmonia. Thank you. Welcome back. You were here yesterday. You're back today. Going to be giving out wrenches. Got to figure out how that works. I called Solo TV 84. He was hopping on a plane. He's going from Philadelphia back to Minneapolis. So I'll get a tutorial from him later on how this all works. So premise number 1 is that you know that the time is required in order to make change, in order to set yourself apart from your past self. Number 2, you've created the time. I was talking about how I cut out TV from my life a long time ago. And you'd be surprised how much time you have in a day when you don't do things like that. Now, just a small aside here. The thing about cutting out time wasting activities, it's not just the amount of time that it takes to do these things. It is, as a matter of fact, the time that it takes to recover from these things. Okay? A lot of these kinds of activities, let's say television, they are anesthetizing activities, which means they're like anesthesia. They actually put you in a state of depression. They're depressants, just like alcohol. Okay? You Google it, ask your local neuroscientist, right? This is true. So when you say, hey, you know what? I've cut out 4 hours of TV from my day, you cut out more than 4 hours of TV, because it takes 4 hours to watch the TV, and it probably takes another 2 hours for you to recover from watching the TV. It's a fact. So there are compounding effects that it gets. Compounding effects, yes, is a given, but I think even prior to the compounding effects, I'm talking about recovery time here. You gain the time spent doing this time wasting activity, but you also gain the time back that you would otherwise use for recovery. If anything goes wrong, it's Solo's fault. Yes, we're blaming Minnesota. So you already have the time, is premise number 2. Number 1, the time is necessary to make any kind of lasting change, to set yourself apart from your past self, so on and so forth, right? But number 2, you cut out the time wasting activities. Time wasting activities tend to be things like, and the reason why I go to TV or alcohol, because those things are depressants. They have the time that you spend doing them, and then you need time to recover, okay? And for alcohol, it's even bigger. You spend your time goofing around at a bar somewhere or messing around with your friends drinking beer. And another clue, okay, another clue to setting yourself apart. Look, Elon Musk never talks about, oh, I was hanging out with the guys yesterday. You don't hear Steve Jobs say that. You don't hear certain caliber of people talk about that kind of stuff. Does it mean that they're antisocial? No, it doesn't mean that. But when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay? As somebody once says, eagles fly alone. It doesn't mean you need to be antisocial, but there's a lot of time wasting that goes on with your hangout sessions. How often do you really need to hang out and waste that much time? And what is really getting done? What is really getting done? Okay, so talking about these things like excessive social media consumption and the TV and the hangout sessions with the alcohol, not only are you going to gain that time back, but you're going to gain back the recovery time. And then as you move forward, the time, it just compounds on each other. I kind of stumbled into cutting out TV. I cut out TV because I was broke. Okay, I cut out TV because I'm a college student. I have this tiny little room that I'm renting out in this house in Pomona, Southern California. And I didn't really have space for a television. I had space for my computer screen, okay? And this was back in the days when the screens, the monitors, right, were starting to evolve into the situation where you could use them as both televisions and as computer monitors. For those of you who remember, computer monitors were different from TV screens, okay? They were not necessarily interchangeable, okay? So I cut out TV just because I was broke, had a small room, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna be able to watch these things on my watch. I used to like to watch C-SPAN and certain other things, anyways. And I could get that on my internet. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay for one bill, which is the internet bill, okay, and cable, super expensive. Don't have the time, don't have the space for a separate screen, so I consolidated. And one of the best decisions I ever made. Haven't looked back. 20 years. So that's premise number 2, that you actually have the time, okay? And then premise number 3 is that you've cultivated healthy habits already, or you are in the mindset of cultivating healthy habits like exercise and discipline and eating right and so on and so forth. So if these 3 things are true, number 1, that you know the long hours are necessary, number 2, you've cut out the time wasting activities, and then number 3, you're cultivating the healthy habits, then we're ready to roll. Okay, we're ready to roll. We're ready to talk about the pyramid. We're ready to talk about my pyramid scheme. So let me look at the chat here. Let me look at the chat. Yes, Mr. Fitness. Yes. One evening a week. And the thing about it is, a lot of this stuff is based on you. Okay? It's based on you. Some one evening a week is fine. Some once a month is fine. Some once every 2 months is fine. And here's the thing about relationships, anyways. You know that the people that you're closest with, in terms of outside your family, okay? Outside your family, your best friend is the person that you can contact once every 3 months, even, and you guys just continue the conversation like it never stopped. Hit a 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying, okay? You don't need to talk to your best friend every day. You can talk to your best friend once in 6 months and it's like nothing changed. Am I right? Right? Then if that is the case, then what is the meaning, or what's meaningful about these other kinds of relationships other than just wasting time? Okay? If the relationship is really meaningful and deep, if it has struck a core, then you don't need to be going back to that watering hole all the time. Okay, you can talk to this person on the phone once a month. You can see them once a year, even. And there's a particular friend of mine that comes to mind. I see this guy once a year, sometimes a year and a half or 2 years, but we just continue the conversation where it was, right? So, point is, everyone at their particular level, but you know what's excessive, you know what's time wasting, and so on and so forth. So, given those 3 premises, we're ready to roll. Okay. Now, given the above things that we just said, then energy and how efficient you are is very important. Okay. It's all about energy and efficiency. Okay. We talk about the rocket analogy. Okay. So you're building a car engine, or maybe it's a computer, but let's just keep it to planes, trains, automobiles. Those things are those locomotives. We're quite used to them. We understand how those things work. Okay. So we understand that there is a heating system and a cooling system and a system that measures fuel efficiency and all other kinds of gauges there. So these are gauges that we will check in order to make sure that the efficiency is going well. Now, we've all watched rocket launches, for example, and they go, this system check, that system check. Or if you remember Voltron, the defender of the universe. Who's old enough to remember Voltron here? Who remembers Voltron, that cartoon? Let me get a 1 in the chat if you remember Voltron. That just came to mind because when they would form, when the individual lions would form into the Voltron, they would go through a systems check like activate interlock, dynaform connected, infracells up, blah, 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 right? So I always thought that the title, The Defender of the Universe, was so badass. I mean, you think, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's like, I am the defender. Oh, not of Earth, not of this local scene here, not of the galaxy, okay? Not of this particular plane, not in just this one dimension. I'm a defender of the whole universe, dimensions known and unknown. Okay? Now that's pretty badass. That is pretty badass. Voltron V's Power Rangers. Ah, who do I pick? You know what? They're so different, but I'm a Voltron guy. I gotta go with Voltron. Gotta go with Voltron. I prefer animation, generally speaking. So that's why, to give you kind of a reason. Okay. Hence, I think they're kind of in slightly different categories. Well, let's not geek out just yet. Okay. Let's not geek out just yet. I'm kidding. I enjoy geeking out all the time. So feel free to geek out in the chat. Point of bringing up Voltron is this: there's a systems check. We're talking about planes, trains, and automobiles and such. There is a means of checking whenever you're doing a rocket launch what's going on. Okay, you have an engine and you want to check the efficiency. Therefore, and you want to keep the efficiency at a certain level. Therefore, have to keep the heat at a certain level, because heat loss is entropy. Heat loss is energy loss. Okay, the less you can involve friction in mechanical systems, the more efficient you are. So hence you have the lubricating systems as well. The lubricating systems make sure that you're reducing friction and reducing heat loss. Okay, the more friction there is, the more energy is being wasted. Okay, and then you want to check fuel efficiency, you want to check wind resistance, and you want to make sure that you're moving at an optimal speed relative to wind resistance. Okay, you don't want to rush into a headwind. Maybe you want to pace yourself, and that way you'll be able to last longer. Okay. And speaking of my broke days, I remember, driving to college back in the day, and I actually knew the I would go on the right lane on the freeway, and I would stay at 40 miles per hour. Okay, and I was getting great gas mileage out of my buckets. My little bucket cars that I replaced every 6 months, right? I was getting mad gas mileage, okay? And I would know, depending on the wind, sometimes you also have a tailwind and it helps you as well, okay? So I know what I'm talking about in this regard. But, anyways, in mechanical systems of this sort, we know that efficiency is important and you check the system. So, how do we build a dashboard for ourselves? That's what this pyramid system is about here. Okay, the pyramid system is about, and interesting, so it's kind of backwards, huh? Can you guys read this, or is it kind of mirrored? Is it a backwards writing? That's something I probably should have thought about. Can you guys read these? By the way, either see it or what's going on. Let me get some feedback in the chat regarding the chart. Can you guys see it? Okay, it's readable. Sorry, bro. Geeks are winning. The lion-shaped robots. All right. The video isn't mirrored. Excellent. Very, very good. So this is the shape of our dashboard. The bottom of a pyramid is the base, the foundation, the most important part. Okay. So in order to allow us to effectively frame this, okay, for the purposes of this particular conversation, let's just talk about you're working, you started at 7 a.m., and regardless of what you're doing, you hit 10 a.m., and you notice that you're not quite efficient today. Okay. The top one is small. Top one is too small. Okay, good. That we'll talk about the top one, and it's small for a reason, because it's the last thing, and I'll blow it up because I'm gonna be writing and doing things so I can make it. Oh, someone saw it. Crutches, huh? Crutches is at the top. Crutches is what it sounds like. Those are the thing. Those are crutches. And you don't want to get to your crutches until you make sure that these things are all good. Just like if your car is not acting right, you don't just go, "Ah, I need the special rocket fuel and the rocket boost." No, you say, "Well, let me check the oil, check the water, check all these gauges, make sure all these things, if the fuel efficiency, so on and so forth. Maybe I need to replace spark plugs, right? Maybe I need to check the radiator, the fuel filter, the air filter, before you go and get a NOS tank, right?" So in that way, or in that particular system, it is rather intuitive. We get it. It's very clear and straightforward. So same thing. The NOS tank is a crutch, and you will not go with a NOS tank before you or until you make sure that your car actually has some structural integrity and mechanical integrity, has the main functions are intact. Otherwise, you're actually destroying the car. Same thing with your biological system. And also, you get less bang for your buck. You get diminishing returns the more you use crutches. Okay. The more you're out there snorting cocaine, the more cocaine you're going to need. So, point is, where do we start? It's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. You're feeling slow today. And you're thinking, I need a nap. You're thinking, I need a snack. First place to start, which again is the body, but the first item is hydration. I'll just write hydro here. Okay. Hydration is the first check. In other words, check. Did I start the day off right? Did I start the day by downing 2 glasses of water and then filled up another glass and took it into the office and continued to sip that? Right? That's check number 1. Water regulates your mood, regulates your energy, regulates all kinds of things. You're 75% water. You can go read up on it, but why read up on it? Okay. All that knowledge is already out there. We already know what this is. But basically, the first check on your dashboard is hydration. Okay. Now, one of the things about this is when you continue to do this kind of thing, you're gonna, because your body tells you everything. Okay, your body tells you everything, right? So you're no longer then gonna need an external list. All you're gonna have to do is remember, oh, let me check, and you're like, oh, I'm dehydrated. You're gonna know you're dehydrated because you've gotten into the system or into the habit of checking, am I dehydrated? And then you'll be able to tell. The basic one is urination. You need to have urinated that day and it needs to be clear. Okay, clear. And when it's clear, then you continue to drink water so that you keep it clear all through the day. All through the day, ladies and gentlemen. You never stop hydrating, especially when you eat. We talked yesterday, and you can Google this. Okay, it takes about 3 or 4, right? Let's just say a 4-to-1 ratio in terms of you eat 1 unit of protein, you need 4 units of water by volume to digest it. Okay. Now that's just to digest it. Then you need to drink those 4 units of water to digest the protein, and then you need to add more water to stay on top. Okay. So start, you drink water, and we talked about how the hydration process works. But I'm going to run up the pyramid and run back down and start again. Okay. I'm just going to say that the body is the first thing. The body has hydration. It also has rest. And it's in this order. Okay. And then exercise. Exercise is more complex than what I'm making it sound like here. Okay. So hydration, rest, and exercise. And then there's awareness. Okay. Awareness has to do with your focus or concentration, okay? And then your equanimity, okay? And then your sensory clarity. Okay, and then you get into tactics. In tactics, tactics are manifold. Okay, there are many different kinds of tactics. And again, I'm just running through it, and then we'll go up and down. We'll read the chart. We'll elaborate. You'll ask questions. You'll push back, so on and so forth. Okay, tactics are manifold. There are many different kinds of tactics, but let's just pick out a couple of tactics to talk about. One tactic is switching, and we talked about, and we're going to talk about task switching, position switching, scenery switching, and medium switching. The medium with which you're doing your work. Switch from paper to screen, from screen to blackboard to whiteboard. Okay, position switching is switching from sitting down to standing up to walking around or go in the hot tub and think, right? Switching scenarios, okay, is like, going, taking your laptop, going downstairs or going to the library or something. That's the switching tactic. Okay. Another tactic is what I'll call externalization. And externalization, just think about it as counting with your fingers. Okay. So basically, when you are super efficient and you're on the go, you can do certain things in your head, but sometimes you got to count with your fingers, right? And that is a question of how much energy you have. Sometimes you need to externalize this stuff. And we're going to talk about lists in particular, but I'm just talking about counting with your fingers so you can understand that there's more to externalization than creating lists. Okay, so externalization is using certain kinds of tricks and tips and things like that, where, okay, I can usually do this in my head, but now I need to write it out. I need to do the calculation on the paper, or I need to draw a scheme out. So externalizing things that would otherwise be done by some kind of internal focus when the engines are going. Okay, you don't usually need it. Okay, but if you're running through the check and everything and you still need something, then you get into your tactics. Okay, and we'll talk about another tactic here, but not to overcrowd this. But the crutches are your coffee, okay, your music, your inspiration, right? Your Tony Robbins and your David Goggins and all that stuff. Okay, these are crutches. Those are at the top of the pyramid, and the idea is, my claim here, one of the things that I'm stating is that, where do most people start? It's 10 a.m. I'm slow. Where do most people start? They don't start down here. They go up here. They're like, let me go get that power bar. Let me get a coffee. Let me go get another Red Bull, or let me go. That's what people usually do. Okay. So this is the pyramid. Again, it's a systems checklist. Engines have checklists. You need to be efficient. You are a system, physical system. Okay. Mother Nature did all this before we started externalizing it and making engines and such. So these are the first engines. Okay. So it's not like these things exist in separate universes or something. Okay. Now, let me just go ahead and read a couple of the charts here. So we got NC worker. Shout out to you. Shout out to Kwasi. Okay. Giving us knowledge. I'm learning. You gotta get your body right just to give your mind a chance. Damani Reeves, shout out to you. I literally used to execute this backwards. Yeah. So that's how we do it. We go for, I need some music to pump me up. I need to listen to some drill sergeant. I need coffee. I need chocolate, whatever, so on and so forth. And let me mention something really key here, which is that it's 10 a.m. We're talking, again, I said, in order to frame the conversation, we're going to say that you are working from 7 a.m. and you hit a block at 10 a.m. and you're starting to notice that you're not very efficient and that something needs to be done. Okay. What do you do at that time? All right. You've been working on spreadsheets, let's say, doing some kind of clerical tasks, right? And you're feeling like you're not very efficient. What do you do? The number one thing, if you're living in North America, the one thing you should not do is eat. If you're living in North America or London or in the Western Hemisphere, in the Western world, anywhere, you are not hungry. I'm talking about the normal person here. I'm not talking about if you're anorexic or you got issues with food. If you got special relationship with food, you know what your special relationship with food is. But I'm telling you that you're not hungry. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you know exactly what I mean. If you're living in the Western Hemisphere, you don't even know what hunger feels like. You probably never felt hunger in your life. Maybe you did at some point. Because yeah, I remember a few nights back in the day. I remember a few nights back in the day when there was nothing to eat. And I remember, getting like $1.50, and the packs of ramen used to be 10 cents. They're probably still pretty close to that, right? And I went to Food for Less, and I got 15 packs of ramen with my $1.50, and I brought it home, and it was like Christmas for me and my brother. So, I mean, those are good times. Those are good times. Those are good times. It's kind of funny how nostalgia and good memories are usually of hard times. Okay. There's a whole video onto that itself. Okay. There's a whole video. That's it. I'm gonna take notes. One day I can afford to drop $1,000 a night on a live stream. Hey, that's a good motivation. Go out there, take the notes, make that money, and spend it on YouTube. So, idea is we start from the top. It's very wrong. When you start from the top, what's wrong with that? Number one, it's like putting rocket fuel or special boost into your engine when you don't have coolant and you have old oil and you have bad spark plugs and your air filter is all fucked up. No, you want to check your air filter and your spark plugs and your coolant and your oil first, right? In an engine and things like that, it's like, well, duh, right? But then with our bodies, we act like we're ignorant all of a sudden. We act like we're stupid. And notice I say we, okay? So this is not any kind of chastising here, okay? I'm saying that us, myself included, left to our devices, we do this backwards. Us, left to our devices, we act like we live in some kind of, like we live in heaven, some kind of ethereal plane where, like, we're not a meat machine or something, okay? Very silly, very, very silly way to be. But trust me, you want to go for that Daytona 500 and you're not checking your spark plugs and your oil and all that kind of stuff and make sure you're going to lose. So don't be surprised when you cannot achieve what you set your mind to and you're wondering what's wrong and you're going from pillar to post, from psychiatrist to pastor, when you haven't checked the spark plugs. So let's go back to the bottom. The bottom of the pyramid is the body. Always start with the body. The body is the beginning of everything. Okay. And I said with that is water, hydration, rest, and also exercise. The water part we already talked about. Okay. We know that one of the signals, and the more you get used to this, you're going to be able to discriminate between, you're going to be able to know when you're dehydrated, okay? It's in your lips, it's in your urine, it's in the way your skin feels, okay? Now that's high level stuff there. You're not just going to get there immediately, but you're going to be able to discern certain things, which is where the awareness thing comes, okay? The awareness is super important for many, many levels. The biggest part of this whole pyramid here, the deepest part, is the awareness part. That part, people spend a whole life being monks doing that part. Okay? So this part really gets everything else going. But the body part is super simple. Okay? And that's why, it should be encouraging, right? It should be encouraging that, hey, I should just not start from here. I should start from here. And guess what? It's simple. I'm not asking you to do anything complicated. It's just saying, hey, have a systematic way of staying hydrated. Okay? The same way you brush your teeth in the morning, hydrate. You wake up, first thing on your mind, hydration. It should be that way. Tell me why not. Okay? I will dare you. I bet you. Go find me reasons why you should not wake up and the first thing on your mind should not be hydration. Tell me why not. Okay? Now, it is a fact that most people are dehydrated, which is just very sad. Very sad. And you get people giving all kinds of excuses. But again, over here on this channel is not the place for people giving excuses. It's not the place where you need to be convinced that work needs to be done. Again, I gave 3 premises. Number 1, you know that the work needs to be done. Number 2, you've already cut out time wasting activities. And number 3, you have something to pursue and you have those 16 hours in front of you, 16 hours a day that you need to do stuff with. Okay. So I don't like the taste of water and all that other nonsense. Go away. Okay. Please leave us alone. Now, for those of us who are reasonable, wake up in the morning, figure out a systematic way of hydrating. Think about a potted plant, just for a simple idea of how hydration works. A potted plant filled with soil might be able to take a whole gallon of water, but if you just dump the whole gallon of water, it'll overflow and spill off to the side, especially if you have clayey soils and stuff like that. It needs time to percolate. You put in a little bit at a time, a nice flow rate, a quarter gallon, you wait, quarter gallon, you wait, and then you keep on doing it the whole day. You don't just say, oh, it's 10 a.m. I feel a little bit off. Let me go grab some water, drink a cup of water. Now I'm hydrated. No, that's not how it works. It actually takes about an hour. So let me put it this way. The water you need now, or the water your body is using now, is water that you took at least 2 hours ago. The water that your body is using now is water that you have to put in 2 hours ago. So you're not just going to get hydrated at that 10 a.m. Okay. You're going to be like, it's 10 a.m. I need to get hydrated. And then you start only till about noon and haven't gone to the restroom twice and then notice that your urine is clear. Then you've started now you're on the bicycle and then you got to keep pedaling. Keep pedaling means keep drinking water, keep going to the restroom and passing out clear urine. Okay. If you ever notice at some point, oh, you fell off the bicycle, it takes about 2 hours to ramp up to that level, and then you keep pedaling. That's how hydration works. It's not I'm just gonna grab a thing and, oh, I'm hydrated now. Come on. Okay. Potted plant filled with soil, that analogy, slowly, 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 and then you saturate it. And then it's going to be evaporating and all the different systems are going to be using water and the circulatory system and the this and your endocrine system, so on and so forth. And then you just keep on adding all through the day. The most important thing, okay, you should take it like a religion. Okay, you should take it like your life depended on it. Because guess what? It does. Your life does depend on it. So, water, rest. When you are not rested, okay, and I was going to say that one of the signals that your body gives you when you're dehydrated is that you feel hungry. But don't even worry about it, because if you're in North America or in Europe, you don't even know what hunger feels like. So just whenever next time you're at that 10 a.m. hits and you think you need a snack, slap yourself. Don't get a snack. That's the worst thing you can do, because you're literally now dehydrating yourself more. What you need is water. Trust me. Trust me. What you need is water, because in the West, you don't even know what hunger feels like. Trust me. So, water and then rest. Another thing about when you're not rested is that your inhibitions go down. Not if you go a night without sleep, you get a little goofy, right? And you do certain kind of silly things. Plus, your body tells you you need to eat more. Has anyone ever noticed that? Has everyone ever noticed that when you don't sleep well, you tend to eat more? As a behavioral matter, objectively speaking, if you were to measure people, it is true. You will notice that this is what they indeed do. But what I'm asking is, has anyone, and let me get a 1 in the chat, in your personal life, your objective experience, I mean, subjective experience, anecdotally, have you noticed, and let me get a one, that when you're not as rested, or if you skip a whole day or 2 days, you're not really sleeping well, you tend to eat more. Your appetite tends to go up. Okay, that's kind of how that goes. And apologies here while you guys respond. Huh. Interesting. 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 So you guys are quite self-aware. Okay. So that goes to that whole point again about never think you're hungry, especially if you're in the West. Hey, if it's 1992 and you are in the desert in Somalia and there's a famine, yeah, then maybe you're hungry. But otherwise, you're not hungry. Okay. You need rest and water. Usually it's just water, unless when you know you also need rest, right? And guess what happens around here too? When you don't have rest and water, okay, many other kinds of many other kind of bad things start appealing to you, right? All kinds of anesthetizing things, all the bad habits, all the bad habits, whether it be watching Pornhub or going out to eat chocolate fondue or getting in a social media binge and looking for dopamine there, all kinds of things all of a sudden start appealing to you. Okay, so we're on rest now, but rest and hydration tend to have the same kinds of symptoms. And when they're in combination, okay, all kinds of bad things start, you start getting, the tail starts wagging the dog. All kinds of bad things start happening. It's not, so don't this is really simple, and it should be good news, so that it's not a question of, oh my God, I'm not up to the task. I'm a loser. I'm a sinner. This, that, and the other. It's just, no, chill, chill. You just forgot that you have spark plugs and a coolant and a fuel filter and an air filter, and that you need to maintain these things every day. Huh? When that's it. I'm not saying that there's not more to it, but I'm saying that it starts there, right? It starts there. Let me look over here. It's your body compensating for lack of sleep, drawing energy from food rather than sleep. Austin Bailey. Shout out. Shout out to Austin Bailey. So basically, so that's why we're dehydrated when we wake up in the morning. Dude, you're a beast. I'm so inspired now. Oh. Well, thank you very much. You guys are the inspiration. So, I talked about rest and we talked about hydration. The bottom of the pyramid is hydration. You're 75% water. It is the most important thing. Treat it like a religion. Treat it like your life depends on it, because it does. Have a systematic way. Take the water right from you brush your teeth. Drink 2 glasses of water right after you brush your teeth, and then fill up another glass and take it with you to where you're going. Okay. If you need to make coffee because for aesthetic reasons you like the coffee, you like the roasted the beans and all that, I get it. I get it. Do that too. But understand that coffee is a diuretic, meaning it sucks the water out of your body. Okay. Therefore, you need more water with the coffee. Same thing with alcohol. Professional drinkers. Okay. My real professional partiers, we know this. Okay. You 1 glass of whiskey, 2 big cups of water, and you can do it all night. And everyone's passing out around you, and you're wondering, how does he keep going? 1 glass of whiskey, 2 big cups of water. 1 glass of whiskey, 2 big cups of water. And you're good, because diuretics, alcohol, coffee, so on and so forth, they pull the water out of your system. So when you're spending that and you're watching the ball game, drinking beer and going to the restroom, you're not just peeing the water in the beer, you're peeing all the water out of your system. The beer goes in there, the alcohol goes in there, and it sucks the water out of your system, and it dumps it all out. And that's why you sometimes you see your pee is clear when you're drinking alcohol, because it just takes all the water out. Okay, so hydration is the bottom. Rest, you need to know. Okay, again, it's 10 a.m. You're working on a spreadsheet. Boom, you hit a wall. You need to know: are you rested? Do you need to rest right now? Okay, is that the issue? Okay, because it might be. It might be that you need to rest. And don't fight the body if that's the case. But hydration, given the fact that it regulates your energy and your mood, okay? Because trust me, if you're in a bad mood, that is one of the symptoms of dehydration. Most people are walking around all day in a bad mood and they're taking SSRIs and all kinds of crap, right? When they should have started with the basics. Again, I'm not saying that after you run through this, there might not be other things that hover over on the top here that you need to do. Maybe you do need to go and talk to a therapy. Maybe you are fucked up. But, okay, but if you haven't checked the spark plugs and, changed the oil and also put in the coolant in the car and done all these other things, okay, how do you know the car is fucked up? You don't know that yet. Same thing applies to you. You don't know that you're fucked up until you do these things every day. And then after you then add the crutches, and then, yeah, maybe you need to go talk to somebody about your fucked up ways, right? Maybe. So we're finishing out the body with the exercise piece, okay? Exercise piece over here. And by exercise, I mean the general state of your body, okay? So, because it's like, well, what do you mean I should, at 10 a.m., I should now just go exercise? Like, yeah, no, exercising is a habit that you should already have, okay? You should be exercising. But what I mean is, do you need to go out and run around the block a couple of times and raise up your heart rate? I like to at least go to about 160 and hold it there for a little bit before I start working. And this is independent of my regular exercise routine. So I like to ride the bicycle every day. I make a couple of videos on the bicycle. Some of you have seen that. But independent of that, I like to just do some burpees, right? Just do some burpees, breathe real heavy, feel like I'm gonna pass out, then chill for a little bit, and then start working. Everybody knows that then it wakes you up a little bit more, right? Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Right? So that's what I mean. That's one aspect of the exercise part. The other aspect of the exercise part is the state of your muscles, okay? Do you have back pain? Okay. Are you did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed today? Do you need to stretch? Okay. Do you need to do a stretch? Do you need to now each of us know our bodies and the particular parts that go get out of whack from time to time. Okay. So that's what I mean by the exercise part of the body thing, which is maybe you need to raise up your heart rate so that you can get the right hormones going, get some testosterone flowing in the blood, so on and so forth. Increase the oxygenation in your blood by breathing really heavy and increasing your heart rate so that you can step up the gear, right? So you started the hydration program, okay? You've taken those 2 cups of water and then you brought up back another cup with you, and you're going to spend the next 2 hours systematically hydrating, okay? You've checked for the rest thing. It's not rest, okay? It's not rest is not the problem. So between 10 and noon, you're going to be hydrating, but also you noticed, you know what? My back is a little off. So let me go down and do some downward dogs, some upward dogs, some all the yoga poses and so on and so forth. And maybe I need to go run around the block a couple of times. Maybe I need to do a couple of burpees, breathe real heavy, chill, and then come back to this. And when you pay attention, you'll know, right? You'll know. And a lot of the ways of knowing are in the next level up on the pyramid, okay? The next level up in the pyramid is where a lot of the ways of knowing come in. So let me know, guys. Let me know. What do you think about this, right? Is it a worthwhile? This is my first live stream, okay? Is this a worthwhile kind of concept? Is it digestible? I'm a very practical kind of guy. I don't like to preach. I like to share, right? I like to share something. That means you can actually take it and use it. Preaching is, hey, look at this nice cake over here. Sharing is being able to slice it up, give it to you, and you can take it and you can ingest it. Okay, that's the difference. Preaching is just, standing on top of a podium and talking, right? That's not, that doesn't do anybody any good. Okay, so I would like to know if this is shareable. Okay, facts. Good video. True. Yeah, the water makes you energized. Yeah, the running around makes you energized. That's for sure. Okay, so you start a regimen, and the regimen points out things that need working on. Hmm. Interesting question. Definitely. Straight to the point, not talking around the points like other people do. I like it. It's lecture, but interactive. Well, thank you very much. I'll try to keep it as interactive as possible. Austin Bailey says, big time, extremely helpful, and I'm enjoying this a lot. Feels like you're expounding on things we know intuitively, but don't always follow through. Good point about the intuitive thing. So, nicer, yes, you have a regimen. So, whenever anything is out of whack, you stop, and you go to the body. Am I hydrated? What's going on with my body? Do I need to raise my heart rate? Is my breathing shallow? Right? In other words, always go to the body first. That's the one of the most useful aspects of having this pyramid system is so that you know where to start. Okay? And you know what's most important. And the more you do it, the more it's gonna reinforce to you that that is the most important thing. When you do it, you're gonna be like, yes, duh, yeah, it's the most important thing. And every time you hit a roadblock, you're always gonna go back there. And then you go through the system, check, 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 and then you'll be able to see what needs working on. And as we talk about the different systems and what needs working on, we talk about how it works. That's how we say, well, hydration is something that you pedal up. Okay, it takes about 2 hours to be hydrated. It doesn't just take you just drink it and you're hydrated. No, drink it, keep drinking, keep drinking, and then you're gonna pee, clear urine, and then now you're at that plane, and then you keep pedaling, right? You keep adding more and more water and keep your urine clear all day. If your urine isn't clear and you're in the Western Hemisphere where there's water readily available, Jesus Christ, man, like I mean, people, our ancestors died and people fought wars and people lived in horrible conditions to put you in this position that you're in right now, and you're not taking full advantage of your engine. You have this souped up, super awesome, great engine, and regardless of how you believe it to have come about, okay, regardless of whether it's God plus evolution and a combination of the two or whatever, it's a miraculous and fantastic process. And you've been granted this super engine, and you're living in a time where you have everything available to make sure that the engine is operating at peak capacity. Don't squander it, right? So basically, we're going to move up to the next level. The next level is awareness. And this is where I talk about the mastery of subjective consciousness. So your hydration game is good. Your rest game is good. You've jumped up around and done a few burpees. Okay. Now, what do you do? What do I usually do? What I do is I stop. For about 5 to 10 minutes. The awareness part is literally a meditation exercise. As I said, there's a whole lifelong game to learning meditation, but everyone can meditate. Okay? It's like running. If you got legs, you can run, but doesn't mean you're going to be Usain Bolt. You get what I'm saying? Get the difference there, right? Everyone can run. The more you run, the better you're going to get at it, but it doesn't mean I cannot run. No. So we're going to elaborate on this particular aspect a little bit more. Why is the awareness piece important? I'm going to talk about why it's important from a broad aspect, and I'm going to talk about why it's important for as a system, as a checklist. From a broad aspect, it's because it's the means by which you check everything. It is the means by which it is the operating system. It is the CPU. It is your subjective consciousness. And mastery of it is where your whole life lies. Your whole satisfaction with life or dissatisfaction with life and so on and so forth is all about your subjective consciousness. So over here, right, there are three things that we're trying to develop. Those three things are focus or concentration. Let's just call it concentration. Concentration, equanimity, and sensory clarity. Concentration, equanimity, and sensory clarity. Still talking about why it's an important thing from a broad aspect. Okay. Now, why is it an important checklist? Why is it an important for efficiency? Okay. It is important for efficiency because your awareness might be off, and that's why you're off at 10 a.m. That's why you can't really focus on that spreadsheet, because your concentration is off and your equanimity is off. Equanimity, by the way, means, a good word for it is relaxation, but it means not being perturbed by any of the internal or external sources, external or internal pressures, right? It's literally floating, right? And in order to float, you got to be relaxed. So equanimity and relaxation and also concentration are a trifecta. There are these three spokes in the wheel that continue to reinforce each other. What do I mean by that? I mean that the more focused you are, the more relaxed you get. The more relaxed you get, the more focused you are. The more relaxed you get, and the more equanimity that you have, the more sensory clarity that you have, which is the third part. Sensory clarity is being able to discern what's going on in your subjective consciousness. Your subjective consciousness, okay? Rorona, okay? Your Jedi Mac, Rorona, Austin Bailey, Nicer, Chris S, everybody in here, okay? Everybody in here, your subjective consciousness, what you are at any moment in time, in other words, what your experience is, could be broken down into three things. And let me go ahead and write it down here. Okay, remember this word fit. It's feeling, image, and talk. These two are in your head. This one, as you may suspect, is in the body. This one could be internal sensations. Internal sensations are what emotions feel like, right? You don't feel emotions from outside, like a light coming into your eye, which are perceptions. Those are external sensations. Or you feel the feel of a fabric, right? No, the emotions come from the inside, right? But there's still sensations, right? Does that make sense? We get a 1 in the chat if the idea of internal sensations, that emotions are internal sensations, and thereby they're not as complicated as we try to make them, okay? And thereby when people say you feel it in your guts, you feel it in your heart, like you are able to disaggregate the seemingly complex manifold of an emotion into its aggregate parts, its sensations internally in the body. It's not magical, right? And when you're able to disambiguate things like this, you can actually get a handle on it. Okay? This is about mastery of subjective consciousness. One of the ways in which to get a handle on things is to break it apart, to demystify it. Whatever is going on with Nicer at any point in time, whatever is going up with Mr. Neil Stewart, if he's in the chart, whatever's going on with any one of you is feeling, image, and talk. And I challenge you to tell me if there's anything else that's ever happened to you in your life. Whatever experience you have and whatever caused you to do anything. Oh, why did you go crazy? Why did you do this? Well, it's because you had a feeling, you had an image, and you had to talk. One of them more louder than the other, one of them more responsible for you doing something than the other, or one of them more responsible for your particular state than the other at any point in time. But the idea here is, rather than think you're this very, very complex, unknowable thing in terms of your subjective consciousness, what your experience is, what your consciousness is, fit. Okay? So the awareness is going to be, the sensory clarity part of the awareness is being able to say, what is going on with me, my body right now? Is it an emotion? Or is it back pain? And is back pain causing the emotion? Or is the emotion causing the back pain? And this combination of emotion and back pain, is it putting thoughts in my head? Because trust me, a lot of times when you wake up and you have these bad thoughts about your ex or something, it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that your shoulder hurts. Your shoulder is thinking and your shoulder is talking. It has nothing to do with your ex. It's all in your shoulders. I'm not lying to you. The more you do pay attention to these things, the more you're going to see that this whole system here is just like a river flowing. It's just like the clouds in the sky, right? That the thoughts that come in your head don't really mean anything. Right? Be careful don't hold me, words are tricky. Communication is tricky. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything. But what I'm saying is this, that you can wake up with bad thoughts about your ex, but really it's because your shoulder hurts. So sensory clarity is being able to disambiguate and disaggregate what exactly is going on with you in the fit trifecta, the fit complex, the feeling, which is the feeling, which is emotions I talk about the body. So far, I've only talked about the internal sensations, but then you have external sensations, which we're all very aware of, our five senses. And then we also have internal, like you could have a stomach ache or a back pain, right? That kind of a thing. You'll have your ways. Those are also senses. You sense things externally, and then you can also sense your organs. Not all of them, but you can sense some of them internally, right? So the point is, you stop, you assess. What's going on with the body? What do I feel? Where do I feel it? Is it a feeling of numbness, or is it a feeling of agitation, like I'm trying to crawl out of my skin or something? Is it a feeling of anxiety, anxiousness? Because that's a sensation. It's not magic. It's something you can isolate, and you need to look at it. One of the big things about this is that your body wants to be felt. Sounds dirty. Your body needs you to pay attention to it. It's a need of the body, just like water and air. Your body also needs the conscious mind to feel it. And when you don't want to feel it, you pick this up and you start doing this, or you go watch TV and anesthetize yourself, or you grab alcohol and you go and you do all these things, you distract yourself. Why? Because you don't want to feel. We all know this, right? Running away from the feeling. But it needs to happen. The awareness, the toolkit, and I'm going to talk about the fact that everybody can run, everybody can meditate, even though you're not going to be Usain Bolt tomorrow, but everybody can run, right? So I'll give you one very simple way of going about checking this. I might as well just mention it now. The breathing is the easiest way, the very first, and you guys have heard this before, right? Breathing exercises, the very first and most easiest way to get your awareness game going. So a very simple meditation technique at 10 a.m. after working on spreadsheets, and you're feeling like you're still off after you've checked the water game and your rest game and your exercise game, okay, is you stop, you breathe in, and you count. So let's say you breathe in 1, 2, 3, you hold 1, 2, 3, and then you exhale 1, 2, 3. So you repeat those cycles 10 to 20 times. So in 3, hold 3. And by the way, the longer you can do, like I like to do 10. I like to do 10 counts, like breathe in for 10, hold for 10, out for 10. The deeper your breaths, the better. And again, even the breathing alone, the breathing exercise alone, you can spend a whole lifetime getting better and better and finding out all kinds of intricate, fun things up to the level where people get psychedelic experiences using breathing exercises. Yes, we've seen the Google, we've seen the videos, and people talk about that stuff. Okay. But we're not here to waste our time. We're here to actually start to do things. So rather than say, wow, isn't it great that we can get psychedelic experiences from breathing? I'm saying, hey, start breathing at 10 a.m. while doing spreadsheets as part of your systems check every day. So this allows you to check what's going on in your body. Breathing is a very important access point. You can go and think about why it is, okay? But one of the reasons why it is because breathing is automatic and can also be controlled, right? So breathing is almost like that nexus point between the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and autonomic nervous system, where your breathing can be automatic, but you can also control it. And also, when you breathe in, you actually feel your body, right? You cannot consciously breathe in without feeling your body, unless you're really, really super numb and really super tight and not paying attention, okay? So again, focus, relaxation, okay? So when you breathe in, you increase, it requires focus, you pay attention, and then you, especially with the out breath, you relax, okay? And with that focus and relaxation, you get sensory clarity. Again, I said that these three things, focus, relaxation, and sensory clarity, are three spokes in the wheel that self-reinforce and continue to snowball. The more focused you are, the more concentrated you are. The more concentrated you are, the more sensory clarity you get. The more sensory clarity you get, the more relaxed you get. The more relaxed you get, the more concentrated you get. That, in a nutshell, is what meditation does for you, ladies and gentlemen. It gives you sensory clarity, equanimity, and focus. Okay. But why is it here? I said two things. It's here is because it is itself the spectacles with which you look at the dashboard, right? Okay. And also it will show you whether or not there is perturbation in the feeling, image, and talk realm. Okay. So before we just kind of did a cursory check of our muscles, and that was just a cursory check of the body. But this is the awareness part is a deep check. Okay. And you've also included the image and the talk realm, which is, so far I've said what's going on with my body. What do I feel? Is it internal? Is it external? Is it emotion? How strong is it? Is it on the left side? Is it on the right side? Is it changing? Okay. Sensory clarity of the body. What's going on with me? Why am I not being able to focus? What's the image in my head? You should be able to tell what the image in your head is. It actually takes work to do that. You might think, oh, it should be easy to tell, but no. It takes a certain, you need to create this almost this other persona that stands back away from you being the feeling the image and the talk. You're going to create this other guy over here, okay, that stands and watches those things happen. Because most of the times we're just this thing. We're just this ball of stuff, and we're unable to stand back. Does that make sense? Let me get a one in the chat if it makes sense regarding the difference between you just being this and that it actually takes work for you to stand back and watch it rather than simply just be it. Okay? Seeing ones in the chat over there. Thank you very much. So that is the idea, is that the awareness lets you know what's going on in imaged land, which is not obvious. You need to stop and see. And then you also need to see what's going on in talk land. Okay? We're always dreaming 24/7. You don't just dream when you sleep. There's a dream going on in your head right now and in my head, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about this, that, and the other. But if I stop and I looked at what's going on in my mind, it's a whole other movie just playing, doing its own thing, right? 24/7. It's louder some days than other days. Talk dominates more days than other days. And by talk, I just mean sound, because sometimes it's a song. Have you ever experienced days when there's a song just playing in your head? Let me get another one in the chat. If you've ever experienced those days when there's just this song playing in your head all the time, it's just going. Okay. Or maybe it's some kind of weird mantra or some kind of thing, but usually it's a song and it's just playing in your head. Okay. Now that's a very loud day. Sometimes it's lower and sometimes it's something else. But you need to be able to create this guy that stands away from the song and the images. Okay. And you simply do that by practice. Okay. You simply do it by doing it. As I said, everybody can run, but you're not going to be Usain Bolt overnight. But everybody can stop, breathe, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, right? Everybody can do that. And with that, it doesn't take, excuse me, doesn't take me convincing you that it is the case that what we're doing that, you're going to be able to pay attention to the body. You're going to be able to get the relaxation, and you're going to be able to get the sensory clarity. Those three wheels, those three spokes in the wheel that go together so that you're able to check feeling, image, and talk. Again, I said that the awareness part is the most complex and the deepest part of this pyramid, right? So I already talked about using the ear in one of my videos. I talked about also paying attention to what your hands are doing, which is just a way of noting you not being this stuff, but making sure that you want control of your body. You don't want your hands to be doing things that they don't have to be doing. So if you're standing in line in a grocery store, your hands should be on your side and stay there. That shows self-mastery. And guess what? We know this intuitively. When we see a guy over there just standing with his hand on his side, you're like, wow, okay, that guy's about something. You know, he's self-possessed. We literally say that, right? We literally say that guy looks self-possessed. These are things we know intuitively. And to be not self-possessed is when this thing is just happening and you don't even know. You just this feeling, image, talk, blah, blah, blah. Touch this, fold that, scratch that, fidget with this. What's going on? It's like, no, just stand in line, dude. Put your hands on your side, bro. Yes, the feelings are going through your body. Yes, there are images in your head and there's talk in your head. But you want to be this guy over here. You want to be the watcher. There's a lot of power in that. All the power is there. There is no power in being this, because this, as I said, this is like the weather. This just happens. Okay? This just happens. Depending on what you ate or depending on how you slept and so on and so forth, you can help it. You can help it by making sure that the body is in a good state and you put the oil in the car and so on and so forth or whatever. But this is like the weather. Again, we live in the universe. We're not separate from it. This is like the tide or the weather or the storm systems and the clouds. This just happens. And it's going to keep happening. And unless you step out, you're just going to be the happening. And you'll never be the awareness of the happening. What you want to do is, as much as possible, cultivate the habits to create the ability to be the awareness of the happening, so that life isn't just happening to you, but rather you're able to watch it. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying over here. Get a song most of the time. Yes, 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 yes. Pay attention. Listen to it. Detach from it. Okay, because when you have a song in your head, it is very distracting, even though you don't know. The way to get some respite from this distraction is to create an observer. It is almost like a video game character that you literally create to watch. And then you create some distance, and therefore the song cannot control you anymore, because the song is controlling you, believe it or not. The talk in your head controls you, the images in your head control you, the feeling in your body controls you, whether they be external sensations, internal sensations, or emotions. They control you. I don't know what got over me. Well, your feeling, your image, and talk got over you. Okay? That's what got over you. And again, point about this is to be able to disaggregate and disambiguate what we kind of think is a very complex thing, the complex creature, which is you, the complex of your particular state of mind. Yes, it feels complex because it's you and you're the one experiencing it, but it's feeling, it's image, and it's talk. Okay. Now we can start to see some knobs, right? We can start to have some visualization of a dashboard, something that we can look at, get a hold of. What is Ike? Ike at any moment in time is feeling, image, and talk. There is nothing else that goes on with you or me. Nothing else. All the chaos, all the heartbreak, all the emotions and the wanting of this and the doing of that and blah, the blah, the blah, the blah, the blah. Just a feeling in the body, an image in the head, and the noise in the head. The more you can become this guy, the more you can be independent and the more you can actually use these things. And then, as I said, you want to get to the point where you actually have gauges, where you can be like, you know what? I'm going to turn this one down and I'm going to turn this one up. Everyone can run. You're not going to be Usain Bolt overnight. Dig? But start running. Start running. I'm going to reiterate the fact that through evolution or through God or through whatever, you are living in this time with the most advanced vehicle out there. And you're living in a part of the world where you have water, you have YouTube, you have resources to be able to make sure that the vehicle has coolant, engine oil, all the best fuel, and everything. And you only get one life. Don't squander it. Okay? That's the whole idea here. Okay. And then all the other things come along for the ride, right? All the other things come along for the ride. We're going to hop out of here real quick because we can spend, as you guys can already tell, we can spend a whole lifetime, and people often do. And as a matter of fact, I have spent most of my life being a meditator. And but I'm a very practical kind of person. So I did not I'm not going to come here and talk about it in a way that is not actionable or in a way that is not representable, communicable, right? Communicable makes it sound like a disease. But in a way that is not communicable, in a way where you cannot see, oh, this is not some crazy thing. This is a checklist I got to do at 10 a.m. working on a spreadsheet, right? Because otherwise, it becomes an excuse for inactivity. And you're going to start reading about the crazy things that certain monks can do. It's like, no, come on, come on. You should be doing it. If I can do it, you can do it, right? Like, I ain't nobody special. I'm like a guy you found on YouTube in a YouTube chat, you know, trolling and talking shit, you know? so, so, yes, 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 yes. It takes time, but the more you do, the more it's revealed. Definitely, definitely. Thank you there, Rorona. I use the music to make music. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Yeah, as a songwriter, and the way I write songs is the whole song. I write the whole, like, the words are the last thing that come to me. The words I have to kind of make, but what comes to me is a chord progression or a melody, which implies a chord progression, right? A rhythm and a melody, and then I hum it into my phone. I just put my voice recorder app and I hum it in there. I'm like, okay, what can I do with that? And maybe I can do a change, a change of a chord for a bridge part or whatever. But this, yes, I use those sounds in the head in order to write the songs. And then I come in and I put in the words. The words need to match the mood because the mood already comes with the melody and the chord progression, right? You don't need words in order to get the mood from a song. That's not what really sets the mood. It's or sets the tone, if you will. It's the chord progression and the melody. So is that meditate state your default state of mind, Ike? Yes. Or at least that is the goal. The goal is to always be this guy. Now, the bigger the storm, the more this guy, is kind of obscured from the scene, right? You get what I'm saying? Right? The bigger the storm of feeling image talk, the more chaotic the weather that day, you know, the more you're gonna have to maneuver. But day in, day out, and as I speak to you right now, I'm using meditation techniques that I've learned, right? I talk about using the ear. I'm constantly listening to the ringing in my ear. It puts me in a certain state. It's not magic. What is the state I'm talking about? It's a state whereby there is concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. Constantly watching my breath, right? And I'm using the eyes, the dilation of my pupils, the focusing and the non-focusing. There's so many tricks you learn as you pay attention to the storm. Okay, you're going to learn to use it. You're going to learn all kinds of little things. And that's why I said, hey, if people spend their whole life doing Zen meditation in a monastery somewhere, sitting for hours a day doing this stuff, because there is no end to it. But it truly is the most important thing that I discovered in my life. Okay? Most important things I discovered in my life. One of the most important things I ever discovered in my life was this meditation thing. And just like running, I think that some people are more talented than others. Okay? And this is not self-aggrandization. This is more me saying that I cannot take credit for everything. Okay. I have a talent for meditation. I can only know that looking back, because I know that even as a kid, I used to do certain things with my mind that I just did. And I used to just do that. I used to have a habit of laying back and spinning the room in my mind. In other words, make myself feel as though the room was spinning. Now, that's something that takes, now that I've done meditation, I know, wow, that takes a lot of focus to do that. But I cannot take credit for all of it, right? You know, just there's genetics, there's stuff, right? I'm also 6'4", so I can take credit for certain things, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm a tall, broad shoulders, relatively good looking guy. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to take credit for certain things. So I'm not taking credit also for being able to meditate in a certain way, because I've always had that kind of a talent for it. But I suck at many other things, right? So well, the point is, we can all run. We're not all going to be Usain Bolt, but even Usain Bolt needed to train, right? And if you talk about you watch my talent cultivation video, you know that the more talent you have, the more work you need to do, right? Because you have more land to cultivate. You know, it's not some kind of a blessing without burden attached to it. With great power comes great responsibility, right? If you have talent, you got to do a lot of work because you got 100 acres of land, while other people may have just 1 acre of land, right? So, point is, though, I wanted to say that I can't take credit for everything because there's different levels of talent. But point is, we can all run, even though we're not all Usain Bolt, and we all need to start running, right? How long have I been doing this? So, given what I just said, it's something that I was doing unconsciously since maybe I was like 8 years old, but I started doing it more consciously at about 18, which is, so I've been doing it for about 20 years now. I'm 38. So for about 20 years I remember about 18 is when I actually started like, what is this meditation thing? Let me try this, try that, do this, do that, and the other. Okay. And oh my God, there's, as I said, man, like people spend a whole lifetime. There's so many different ways, so many different things you can do, so many different exercises and techniques. And there's so many ways in which it can help you, right? One of them, you got me going off on a tangent now before we go up to tactics, okay? And how you guys doing in the chat, by the way? Let me know if this is this going too long? You guys getting, because I tend to go off track, off the rail, and go on and on about things, especially when I get excited. So you guys let me know, okay? Let me know if it's being coherent, if you can still get the big picture of why we're doing this whole thing about energy regulation, and that this is a systems checklist where you start with the body, water, rest, exercise, and then you move into the awareness piece, right? The awareness piece is something else that you have to check. You stop, you breathe in, out, simple way of accessing that, so that you know where the perturbation is. Is it in the image land? Is it in the talk land? Is it in the body land? So that you know how to adjust it. And then you can keep on going with your spreadsheet at 10 a.m., right? Good. Good. Covering a lot, but it's all connected. Well, thank you. When you use the field, the watcher, then get freaked out. The watcher, huh? Good. Good. So I've been doing this for a while. One of them, besides all the important things that I've learned, one of the more practical ones is when I was getting my master's. I was getting my master's in structural engineering, and it was one of the hardest intellectual things I've ever done. The reason I say that, yes, I'll be posting this. I'm not restricting it, so it'll be there, and we can come back and you guys can come back and watch it. And as I said, most of my content is going to be all within this triangle, right? So just like I've been talking about being the most comfortable person in the room, use your hands, listen to your ear, do this, do that, all of that kind of stuff. It's all because of this pyramid system, right? So this is an introduction to the pyramid system, right? And then I'll continue to just make videos and talk about this, that, and the other. And you'll be able to then connect the dots and so on and so forth. And then maybe at another time, maybe we'll come back and do another live stream again, focus on the pyramid system, maybe pick a particular part and delve into it deeper, right? Delve into it deeper. I was doing my master's in structural engineering, and certain aspects of it were kind of crazy. I was like, wow, this is freaking hard. But I remember definitely being able to develop a particular skill from a meditation practice. There's a meditation practice that you do, and it's from the, I listened to this, it was from a Kabbalah, is it Kabbalah or Kabbalah? Well, it's Kabbalah, the Jewish mystics, right? So this particular guy had this particular thing where you close your eyes, okay, and then you try, what you're trying to do is you're trying to increase your power of visualization, which is which takes a lot of concentration. So this is heavy lifting concentration wise, because in your head lots of images are going by. It's hard to control it. Okay, it's hard to control it. So you stop, you paint a blank scene, white space, okay? And then he says on the left side, picture a moon, okay? It doesn't matter what these things are. You're just basically trying to paint you're trying to paint a picture in your head and keep it in your head. Because what tends to happen is when you think of one thing, another thing comes and flows it, brushes it away, right? You guys get what I'm saying, right? But paint a blank scene, paint a moon over here, paint a bird over here. And one of the hardest ones, one of the most genius ones is, he says, now put 3 pots in the bottom and have green smoke coming out of one, blue smoke coming out of another, and red smoke coming out of the third. It's hard to do that and keep it, because these 3 smokes got to come out and they got to intermingle, and you got to keep it there with the blank page and the moon and the bird, and hold it while you're breathing and doing those other things which you need to be doing. Now, I mentioned that to say this. As I was doing that stuff and that was just kind of my regular practice, I noticed that in one of my classes, and mechanical engineering or engineering in general is a very visual thing, because whether you're thinking about the thing itself or you're thinking about the representation of the equation of the behavior of the thing, which would then be a graph or something like that, right? So either you're thinking about, oh, well, this thing is turning this way, or this force is coming this way, or so on and so forth. It's visual. Or you think about the mathematical representation, which is just a graph, and then the equation is an equation of the line of the graph, right? All these things are visual, okay? So I found that I was able to, right, in this particular class that I was doing, very, very clearly visualize certain things and then hold it in my head and then turn and think and then turn it and then add another thing and add this and add that and then stop, keep it there and think. Powerful skill. Powerful skill. Okay. I actually knew that I didn't have it before, and then boom, now I got it. And like anything else, you got to keep on practicing it to make sure that you maintain it. We're leaving awareness now, and we're going to go to tactics, and then we're going to go to crutches. And we don't want to make this too long, okay? We don't want to make it over 2 hours. Now, tactics, okay? Tactics. Is a crutch. Got the foamed up cream on top of the espresso. Got a new coffee grinder, and LOL, exactly. And by the way, if you let me do this. If you drink hot beverages, this right here, I would highly recommend. It's a heated coaster, and you can set your temperature all the way up to like 200 degrees, right? I think it goes up to like 200 and wow, 230 degrees. This one goes up to, right? And it comes with this little metal cup, right? That it's a great conductor, so that it keeps your drink hot the whole time, and it tells you the temperature that the drink actually is at any point in time as it goes up. And also, you can start with a just a warm drink, a lukewarm drink, so your coffee doesn't already have to be hot when you put it on there, and basically it'll warm it up for you and keep it there. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, you might want to invest into one of those things if you like. Yeah. Need that for your green tea. Yeah, it's great, and also works with different kinds of mugs as well. I learned it from Scott Adams. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. He has a YouTube daily show that he does, and I noticed he would always pick up his coffee mug from behind him, and it was sitting on some. He had this special cup and a special place that he always puts it on. And I suspected that it was something about that. So I started looking up. Are they heated coasters? And voila. No one told me this crap. Like, people don't tell you these things. But I'm letting you know, putting you up on game, as they say. So, tactics. It's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. You've been doing spreadsheets. You hit the wall. What do I do? Oh my God, I don't think I'm hydrated. So I got to go. I forgot to start with the water today. Okay, I'm going to start my hydrating scheme. Okay, I go get the cup. I continue to drink water, and I prefer warm water. Generally speaking, for what I consider to be aesthetic reasons, but maybe some people also say that there are actual, real, objective reasons why warm water is better for hydration and other things. Okay, and then some people say drink cold water because it helps burn calories, and it's like, dude, go run around the block. If you're hacking your system to the level where you need to be putting in cold water in your system so that your body fights to heat up the water and thereby burns calories, like, come on, there's something wrong with you. But half kidding on that one. 10 a.m., hitting the wall. First thing you check is the body. Water, rest, exercise. You go to awareness as well, doing your breathing, okay? You want to get the sensory clarity, the concentration, and the equanimity. You help you check where the perturbation is coming from, okay? And then you want to create this guy, right? You want to step up, create this guy, because it might be the case that you're just in the clouds, in the storm, okay? You want to step away from the storm. That's what this awareness check is. And then the tactics. The tactics, we talk about a couple of things, which are switching and then externalization. Let's talk about switching. Switching is a basic one. You've been doing spreadsheets all morning. You need to switch from a clerical task. In other words, it might be the case that you need to switch. In other words, if you do body and awareness and now you're good and you can continue your spreadsheet, continue with your spreadsheet. But if you're still not able to do it, then you need to switch from a clerical task such as a spreadsheet to some other kind of task, which could be something like a task that involves creativity, or a learning task, or a communication task, right? It may be that you need to start making some cold calls to your prospective clients. And because you might think, oh my God, I have no energy for spreadsheets. And one of the furthest things away from spreadsheeting is talking on the phone. Maybe the phone calls you needed to make. You are going to have these different kinds of tasks anyways, right? That you need to do when you are organizing your life in a certain regard, right? And you have these different things in your calendar. Let's just call the different kinds of tasks clerical tasks and creative tasks. And then let's call learning/research tasks. The cold call is kind of in the creative realm. Okay, the selling is in the creative realm. Selling is a very creative thing. It's a performance. First and foremost, it's a performance. It's like stand-up comedy or something. Okay, that's why someone like me, a total introvert, can be a performer and also can be a salesperson, because it's not what you just naturally do, right? It's a performance. It's like playing music. You practice it, get there, pick up your phone, and you perform. That's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. Now, so you move into good evening, Ike. Shout out to Jessica X in the building. So you're going to move into a different kind of a different task, because when you run low on the batteries in one particular silo, and we're talking about 10 a.m. and you've been doing spreadsheets, which is a clerical kind of a task, you want to move into a different silo, which could be something creative, cold calls, or maybe something research wise. You need to go ahead and call the Small Business Administration because you need to set up, or you need to find out how to get government contracts. It's something that has been on your list, one of these big things on your list. You need to set up your company in a certain way. You need to switch from an LLC to a corporation. You need to do these different kinds of things, which are very different from spreadsheeting. And you'll find all of a sudden you have energy. All of a sudden you're able to continue working. You sail past 10 a.m. into noon in no time while you're hydrating and doing all these other things that that are below on the pyramid. Okay, so let me get a 1 in the chat if you understand the idea of task switching. There are many different aspects to switching. We just talked about task switching, which is the idea. You put a 1 in the chat. The idea that there are different kinds of tasks that we can put in different silos that have to do with clerical things, let's say, and then you have creative things, and then you have research/learning things, and that the batteries for each of these are different. You run low on your spreadsheet battery. Don't think you got to go take a nap. Switch, pick up the phone, make a cold call. Switch, go to research, right? Switch, call the Small Business Association, or switch to something more creative that has to do with you coming up with a particular solution. And all of a sudden, you're going to find that you have a lot of energy for that. So a good way to arrange your calendar is to not overpopulate it with one kind of task. And I mean on a daily basis. Okay. So don't just fill your whole calendar with 12 hours of spreadsheets. Have in there as well a couple of things that can be put into the other silos. Maybe you need to do some kind of research. There's always some kind of research and learning that needs to be going on in your life anyways, with regards to your business or whatever it is you're getting done. So always have at least a little bit of time dedicated to that in your calendar, so that when you hit a roadblock on the spreadsheet, you simply take that research thing and you move it up and you move the spreadsheet down. Boom. So now you're not cheating anybody, okay? Your to-do list is still getting done, but now you're just gonna take spreadsheet battery and plug it into the charger while you take this guy, which is fully charged, the research guy, and you go for it, right? Or it could be the creative thing. So that's task switching. Another kind of switching is medium switching, which is maybe you're done. So for example, I have over there, that's my paper desk right there. I have many colorful pens and pencils and stuff like that. And there's no laptop or computer or anything over there. My laptop and computer spread is, I got all the crazy screens right in front of me here. But sometimes I need to switch the medium with which I'm performing my tasks from the computer screen to pen and paper. And it could be the same task. So this is a different kind of switch. A different kind of switch. A different kind of switch. So you can stay at the same task, but, okay, stay at the same task, but switch the medium, okay? You're done looking at spreadsheets, but you could print out the spreadsheets, leave the screen, put it on your paper desk, pull out your little colorful pens, and mark this up and write this note and do that and allocate this and collate that, whatever it is that you need to do with this particular piece of paper, okay? I'm an engineer, so from time to time I may need to draw something on AutoCAD, but I may just get tired of doing that, and I still need to come up with the concept. I just switch and I go over to the paper. So, or I go over to my little easel here, or I go to the blackboard, right? The blackboard brings me to the other aspect of switching, which is position switching. I have a stand-up desk as well. And if I turn it, you're going to see a blinding light over there on the stand-up desk, right? So I have a stand-up desk. There's also a computer screen set up on that stand-up desk. And I go up and I stand up. I'm a kinetic kind of thinker. I'm a bit of a pacer, especially with creative task or learning things, when I'm trying to really absorb information, rehearse information, and so on and so forth. It's best when I'm just walking around the place. Okay. So 10 a.m. again, you've hit a roadblock, working on this spreadsheet. Maybe you need to get up and go to the standing desk. Get up and go to the whiteboard. Okay. Get up, take a walk around the block while you think or come up with the solution. Okay. So we're talking about tactics now, and we're talking about switching. First, we talked about task switching, and now we talked about medium switching, and then position switching, and then scenery switching. Pick up your laptop, go downstairs, work in the kitchen, or get in the car, go to the library, and all of a sudden, you're efficient again. Okay. And I look, let me get a one in the chat if you guys have experienced this, whereby any kind of switching, okay, either task switching or medium switching or position/location switching gives you a revamp, gives you a boost of energy, okay, whereby you thought you were done, but simply going downstairs to the kitchen, and all of a sudden you can work again. All right. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I'm not going to tell you things like, oh, there's different parts of the brain that have to do with different tasks and so on and so forth. Doesn't really matter. Over here, we're practical. Over here, we're intuitive. So we feel it. That's why we know it. And we've experienced it, albeit anecdotally. And that's how we know it works. So yes, I'm seeing ones in the chat, especially location, says Black Curtis. Yes. Yes. And sometimes it's just a burnout with this one particular. I've been working in this particular office. Okay. My house is filled with offices. Okay. As I said before, like I gave up TV 20 years ago, right? So there's no TV room in my house, and there's no TV setup. There's no place with couches where people can waste time. There's no time wasting going on around here. Okay. No, everything is set for a purpose. Okay. Maybe I have some nice little chairs by the fireplace where there's a book, my bookshelf, where you can chill and read. But I gotta find those silly, stupid couches with a TV in front of it. No, I just got a bunch of functional rooms so that I can switch locations, right, and get work done everywhere, because life is all about work. Okay. Now, externalization is another tactic. So again, what are we talking about? We're talking about the system check, a dashboard to check your efficiency and make sure that you're going through. You have an engine, just like any other physical system. This engine needs to be checked. It needs certain things. We start out with the bottom, which is the body. Hydrate. Have a systematic way of hydrating every day, all the time. There is no stopping. There is no bitching about you not liking water. Get the fuck out of here, right? Rest, exercise. We talked about all that kind of stuff. Awareness, sensory clarity, equanimity, and concentration, means by which you can do that, means by which you can get out of this storm of feeling, image, talk, and create this guy, right? And then you go up to tactics, okay? Maybe you need to switch room. Maybe you need to switch tasks. Maybe you need to switch position, okay? Then there's another tactic called externalization, which basically means counting with your fingers, okay? That's a good example of it. And the one that we're going to talk about, though, is lists. Counting with your fingers is a good example of externalization. In other words, there are things that it takes a certain amount of concentration, focus, which is energy, right? It burns calories to do certain things. Excuse me. Little hydration break. It takes a certain amount of concentration, focus, and calories to do certain things, like keep track of tasks that need to be done in the sequence within which, or the sequence with which they need to be done, the order in which they need to be done. This takes energy. And when you're low on energy and you are feeling a little, when your efficiency is low, doing things like literally knowing what to do becomes a burden. So guess what? And I do this all the time. I do this all the time. Again, the three premises is that you already know that 12 to 16-hour days are necessary, and that 2, you've cut out the time wasting stuff in your life, and 3, you have something to do and you have those 16 hours in front of you. So now what do you do and how do you stay efficient? So these things are going to come in all the time. It's not like, oh, this is just theoretically. You're doing the work, you're going to need to do this. At some point, you're going to need to take a piece of paper and write out a list. A list simple, like, you're going to have to, sometimes it gets so basic, like open email, okay? And read email, all right? Understand email, okay? Sometimes it gets to that point where you don't have the energy to have this background system which runs the procedures for you, which tells you that you need to open email, read email, understand email, and then what are you going to do? Step 1, 2, 3 about how to do it. Like, I literally do crap like this sometimes when it gets to that point. And it does get to that point if you're going to be putting 16-hour days every day. You will get to the point where you need to write a list of move left foot and then move right foot, okay? Because you need to disencumber, right, the system, your brain, the calories. You need to externalize certain functions which would be otherwise internal. You need to externalize them. That's why I say counting with your fingers, for example, and put them on paper. And then it becomes easy. All of a sudden, you can pick up the paper and you can say, okay, what am I doing? Open email. Okay, I can do that. Open email. Number 2, read email. Okay. Reading the email. Okay. Number 3, open response tab. Okay, open. Literally, okay? It gets to that. You got to step out, break down the tasks, write it down, regardless of how simple it is. Again, it's like counting with your fingers. You got to externalize that. Sometimes you get so tired that you need to externalize the functions which would be otherwise done by some background stuff. But it takes focus and it takes calories and it takes energy. So you want to help yourself. You create that list of things to do and you just follow it one by one by one. And trust me, you'll get through it. You'll get through the day, no problem. But you got to know these tactics. Okay? You got to know these tactics. So keeps you going for hours without tiring. I have a different area of my room set up as well. Yes, 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 yes. Birthday reminders and to-do lists. For some reason, I count on my fingers. You imagine your fingers in your head, young Swift? That is funny. Task switching and medium switching. Yes, yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching the end. We're approaching the end of this, okay? We're approaching the end of this aspect here. So we're not going to talk about too many different kinds of tactics. We said that there are many kinds of tactics, but we talked about switching and we talk about externalization as well. But there are many other kinds of tactics, perhaps, that I can make separate videos on, right? But the top of the pyramid, what is the top of the pyramid? The top of the pyramid. And by the way, you guys smashing the like button? How are we doing on the likes? How are we doing on the likes, Jessica X? How are we doing on the likes, Nicer? I need to figure out how to give you guys wrenches, but I will be doing that eventually. But for now, make sure you give me those likes. I've been streaming here for 2 hours and giving you guys golden nuggets, okay? So, what am I saying? I'm saying that at the top of the pyramid are crutches, okay? Oh, gotcha. Crutches. Get the likes up, good people. Likes watch ratio is looking good. Black Curtis. sensory thing in my head. LOL. So when I started this pyramid system, I mentioned that we invert the pyramid, which is a big mistake. Okay, big mistake that we make is that we invert the pyramid, and that when we hit that roadblock at 10 a.m., we immediately go to the crutches. We go for inspiration and motivation, right? Music, Tony Robbins, whatever. We go for coffee. We go for Adderall or whatever other crazy pharmaceuticals you're using. Okay. I put this up here because I'm not against it. I always say that, look, I've never done Adderall, but I am not against doing it, but I've never gotten to the point where, in other words, this whole pyramid scheme is a way of making sure that you never really ever have to depend on these things. But guess what? There might be a day, I don't know, maybe I'm going to be arguing some crazy case at the Supreme Court. That's kind of where I put the Adderall thing at. Okay? You guys feel me? Put a 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying here, right? Like when I get to the point when I need to show up in the Supreme Court and, defend myself or argue a case or something, okay, I'm busting out the Adderall pill. And I'm going to have all these on check too, though. I'm going to be on tip-top shape, fully hydrated. My meditation game is going to be great. My tax is going to be great. And boom, I'm going to add the Adderall. I'm going to destroy everybody. Feel me? That's why you do this stuff. Because when you do start from the top, you get diminishing returns. This we all know. Okay? You get diminishing returns. You need more and more and more in order to get the same effect. Plus, if you do it from over here, you're killing the engine. As I said, when the engine is not working right, your plane, train, automobile, right? You go, you check the heating and cooling system, you check the fuel, you check the lubricant, air filter, oil filter, so on and so forth. Check, 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 check. Before you go and start dumping NOS and rocket fuel and the special turbo boost. Because if the turbo boost kills the engine, it's hard on you. The crutches are hard on you. The crutches come with a cost. Hydration bears no cost. Yes, I know you can overhydrate and die, but trust me, that's not your problem, okay? Most people are dehydrated, okay? Yes, the crutches come with a cost. There's no free lunch. There's no biological free lunch. I don't give a crap, okay? Whatever it is you think you're taking and is helping you, you're paying for it. Plus, there's diminishing returns. You need more and more and more and more and more in order to get the same effect. Plus, you are not paying attention to the basics, okay? You're not paying attention to the basics. The water, the rest, the exercise, the focus, the equanimity, the sensory clarity, the tactics, task switching, externalization, doing all these things, all these different dances which you should be doing before you ever think about, you know what, now I need a crutch, okay? When you're going for that CEO position and you're going to go compete with this other guy, all these other guys in the room, and you need to be sharp, really, really sharp, then you bust out a crutch or two, right? That's the idea here. I put coffee up there. It looked to be a bit provocative, but I know that there's nothing necessarily wrong with coffee as long as you know that it's a diuretic and it works against the water system. And the more you take the more you take the coffee, the more you need to do the water, okay? Plus, also, you get diminishing returns. So every once in a while, you want to do some fasting, okay? Fasting is another very important thing. You need to fast from all kinds of things, okay? It's kind of funny how ancient wisdom kind of just knew this, but, the body is an ancient system. It's been around forever. You don't need to be a scientist. That science does not need to exist for us to be able to know certain things that work and just simply say it. Hey, do this. Why? I don't know why it works, but it seems that fasting is a good thing. Now with science, we tend to know more and more that we need to give our gastrointestinal system a rest. We need to give our dopaminergic system a rest. Okay, that's the dopamine system. Okay, whatever is giving you a kick, you need to back off of it every once in a while in order to reset. So every once in a while, while I enjoy very much my coffee in my heated cup, heavenly, every once in a while, I cut it off. No more coffee. And every once in a while, I do a 24-hour fast. I do intermittent fasting anyways, just don't eat for, at least six. I eat one meal a day, right? So I'm constantly doing intermittent fasting. But every once in a while, I'll just say, you know what, let's skip 2 days. Okay. A reset, very important. And I'm saying that vis-a-vis the idea of crutches. Because at some point, everything can become a crutch, even food, right? So, and you want to distance yourself from it so you reset the system because these receivers, right? If you talk about neurotransmitters and the receivers get desensitized the more you push on it, right? Keep pushing on that coffee button, keep pushing, 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 it gets desensitized. So you need to back off, let it kind of rise back up, and then you come back and push again. Okay. So I put crutches here not because I am against them. As I said, I'm even up to the level of Adderall, but Adderall is when it's like a once, for me so far, it's like a once in a lifetime thing where it's like, and the way I kind of put it to myself is because I like a challenge as well. I'm like, if I'm taking Adderall at this point in my life, what kind of a bitch am I? You know? It's like, come on. You're not the president of the universe. Why do you need Adderall? You're like, there is a point that you may say you need it, but trust me, that should be at the very pinnacle, the very, very pinnacle where you start using things like that. Okay. And then even then, it's a one-time thing. That's why I said when I show up in the Supreme Court, right? Or when it's this crazy merger and acquisition stuff, and I don't know, Jeff Bezos is in the room with me, and I gotta cut these motherfuckers down, or is this that kind of thing? Okay, that's when you bring out the big crutch. Because if you're using it right now, dude, you're working at UPS. You're taking Adderall for your job at UPS? Really? Or me in my case, it's like, yeah, I'm busy and yeah, I work a lot. And yes, I have a corporate job, plus I run a business and this and that. I'm trying to grow this, do that, and the other. You know? And yes, I'm achieving certain things and life is good, right? But I don't need Adderall at this point. Okay? I'm not arguing in front of the Supreme Court. Don't need Adderall. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick recap because we are now 2 hours and 12 minutes. I would like to thank you guys very much. My friend said they would use Adderall for medical school. No, tell them, since you're a doctor, hey, what you can do is you got to make sure you're hydrated because it regulates your mood and your energy. Make sure that you're getting rest and exercise, okay? The basics of checking your engine, right? Make sure your souped up engine, which evolution is giving you, and you're living in the Western Hemisphere, which means you have all the resources to make sure that this engine is on point. Make sure you're doing all these. Make sure you get a meditation practice whereby you can increase your concentration, equanimity, and sensory clarity so that you can create this guy that watches the feeling, image, and talk trifecta happening, okay? And then develop your tactics. Get disciplined, okay? Do all of these. And then you have coffee and other things before you get to Adderall. Don't just use Adderall because you're going to medical school. That's bitch move, okay? How many hours do I sleep a day? Sleep is very important. Sleep is very, very, very important. I try to get at least 6 hours a day, okay? And the more I am going with my workout routine and the more hydrated I am and the more I'm going with my diet, right? Keep the diet clean. I don't do sugars and any of that kind of stuff. We all know the things that kill us. The more you do that, and also, by the way, meditation, right? The more you're able to meditate, because one of the great benefits of meditation is the equanimity, right? The equanimity, which is the relaxation. And with relaxation comes the concentration. With the concentration, it reinforces the relaxation, which gives you sensory clarity, blah, blah, blah. The more you're able to do those things, the better your sleep will be. Okay. So all these things work together for the good, as it says in the Bible. But anyways, I don't believe that you need to be skimping out on your sleep. Okay. So even if you put in a full 16-hour day, okay, try to get 6 hours of sleep on those 16-hour days. Most of the time I'm working 12 hours. Okay. Sometimes I put in 16 hours, but what I do is I put a nap. Everybody has a lull point. Is another tactic. Another tactic is to know when you're least efficient. I don't care whatever else you're doing. The body has a cycle, right? There's a circadian rhythm, right? There is a time of peak efficiency and a time of not so peak. For me, it's the afternoon. I'm not an afternoon guy, okay? Maybe it's a sun thing. Maybe it's an albino thing. Who the hell knows, right? But I like the dark, okay? I like the early mornings and late nights, okay? Around what time is it right now? Around 2 p.m., from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'm in West Coast time, Pacific time, California time. This is when I am my least efficient. Okay. So in a very long day, I'll put in a nap, like a 45-minute nap on a day like this. And I'm able to take those naps because I use a meditation technique to get myself into the nap, because even taking a nap is not easy, right? Because you have image and talk in the head going on, preventing you from, and feelings in the body, preventing you from getting the relaxation and the sleep, right? But very good question. Very good question. Okay. How many hours a day do you meditate? Someone asked a different kind of a question. Okay. I'll answer that. The actionable practical on display is 100. Yes. Advice. Yes. Practical actionable advice. Great example, like excellent analogies. So I'm meditating 24 hours a day. Or maybe when I'm sleeping, I'm not meditating. That's a provocative response. How am I meditating formally? Formally, minimum of 30 minutes for any formal sitting. And then once a month, I try to do a 2-hour stretch of formal meditation. But what do I mean by 24 hours a day? I mean that I'm always practicing a meditation technique. Always. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm using my ear technique and my eye dilation technique. And it works magic on people, especially on one-on-one communication. It's almost like you're a snake charmer. You can calm people down. And when they're relaxed, they're persuadable. And you're just a better and a pleasant person to be around. Plus, people feel heard. You feel more listened to. You feel more comfortable around you, right? So 24/7, either I'm doing a breathing technique, or I'm using my eyes, or I'm using my ears, or I'm paying attention to where my hands are, okay? Or I'm doing some other feeling technique. There are ways of there's all kinds of things you learn when you start doing this stuff. But the idea is for meditation to be a 24/7 thing. The idea is for you to be this guy. It's not something you go and you do. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I go meditate and then that's it. No, you want to be this guy. And as I said, sometimes the storm of feeling, image, and talk is particularly high that day. So maybe this guy is kind of drowning a little bit. Okay. He's not all above water, right? But the idea is you want to be this guy, the guy that observes feeling, image, and talk, rather than what generally we are. Our subjective consciousness is just feeling, image, and talk, and we are not creating space for the observer of the happening. Rather, we're just being the happening. You want to be the observer of the happening rather than being the happening. Okay? It's the matrix. You get up, you wake up, you unplug, and you realize, oh, stuff's happening. All that stuff that's happening is not me. Because if it was all me, how would I be able to watch it? Who's doing the watching? Who's watching the watchman? So, yes, to answer your question, I do, or the point of any kind of meditation practice is to be this guy, is to be doing it all the time. But formally, each sitting and every day, at least 30 minutes. In other words, if you're going to do a formal practice, it's not very effective, doesn't kick in. You know, this is how biological or all physical systems are that way. It's not like software. It actually takes time. Things have to take time to ramp up. So again, the point is to build up concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. And it takes time to build these things up. Okay. You got to cut through certain clutter, and then you get to a point where you're actually really doing the work. Okay. And then once a month, I do a full 2-hour session where you go in there deep and you do things. Okay. Hmm. The eye dilation thing, that's a focusing thing. It's you can focus and unfocus your eyes, right? And yeah, I don't want to get too obtuse with these things, right? And as I mentioned before, I recognize that each engine has its own different little tricks that it has, little advantages that it has, right? So the kinds of things and the kinds of tools that I may have are not necessarily things are good. For example, some people like mantras for meditation. I could never get into that. Like I don't. No, right? So I'm not saying that everything that I do, or my own little techniques are going to necessarily be yours, but one thing that everybody can do is breathing exercises. That's why I said it. Was the first thing that I said in terms of awareness. 10 a.m. Stop. Breathe in. Count. Hold. Count. Breathe out. Count. Do that cycle at least 10 times, just for a check, just to check the dashboard. That's the way you check the dashboard, right? Check the dashboard to see what's going on. Where is the perturbation coming from in the feeling, image, and talk complex? Okay, where is the perturbation coming from? Do that to check. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the inaugural live stream on the channel, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you very much for your attendance and for your interaction. And as I mentioned earlier, it is an honor. Time is the most precious resource that we have. The people out here on the chat spending this time with me, it's not something that goes unappreciated, not something that goes unnoticed. I understand, right? So, and something comes to mind when you talk about that focusing of the eyes, and I was talking about the particulars of a particular engine and so on and so forth. So my eyes tend to do this thing where they move around. So focusing is hard. So I had to kind of learn to focus. And I guess that's where I started being able to do the dilation thing and so on and so forth. And I noticed that when you do the dilation and whatever, it actually helps you to it does this weird kind of relaxation thing for you, where it completely relaxes the body, right? Similar to listening to the sound in your ear, that ringing tone in your ear, super key. It starts by relaxing the muscles in the back of your ear or the muscles over here with which you focus your eyes. Those relax. Then you relax the jawline, okay? Then goes to the neck, through the spine, all that kind of stuff. And doing that stuff while you're breathing, while you're watching your breath, in the middle of a sales pitch. As a matter of fact, that's why you're doing all this practicing, is because if you're doing it and you got your game tight, right? Of course, you know your work. And of course, you went through the schooling and all that stuff and you practice and you know your stuff. You got all your tactics right. All things being equal, if you got all that stuff right, and then you also got this stuff right, you're going to win the day. That's the whole point of this, right? because the guy over there, he's not checking his systems in real time. He is not making sure that his equanimity and his concentration are in full gear. And you know that it's not just about you, but that this thing almost got some kind of weird osmosis. It affects the people around you. And when you're able to make people comfortable, you're able to get what you want. We are social animals. Everything you want, someone else has. Everything you want, you got to go get from the marketplace or from someone else. Therefore, the ability to communicate and influence others, soft skills, as it were, super key. So you can have all the tactics and all the knowledge, but if you cannot master your own subjective consciousness, you have a slight disadvantage. And that's why I'm talking about competing at the highest levels. And when I say, as I said in the very beginning, separating yourself from the pack, I'm talking about separating yourself from your past self. Not necessarily separating yourself from others. That's fine too. But that's kind of like let's use the word, that's low value thinking. Okay. It's a waste of time. That's thinking like a baby. Okay. You don't have any business with anybody else. You have business with your past self. And that's the guy you're competing with. That's the guy you're trying to overcome every day, every day, every day, every day. You don't have any business with anybody else. You don't know nothing about anybody else. You're wasting your time thinking about other people. But yes, when you're in that room and you're trying to close that deal, yes, you're competing with other people and so on and so forth. But the reason you got there and the reason you're going to win is because every day you try to beat your past self. So these are things that'll take you to that level. And as I said, you're living in 2020 in the Western Hemisphere or in the West. You've been gifted with the most amazing machine, this crazy meat machine that we got. Okay. And you have all the resources and all the information to keep the machine well lubricated, to keep the heating and the cooling system on point, to make sure that you're moving at optimal speed relative to wind resistance, and have all these tactics for fuel efficiency and so on and so forth. Why are you treating this car like a piece of crap? Why are you beating it down? And then you beat yourself down because the car is not doing what it's supposed to do. And you say, hey, I'm a loser. It's like, no, well, maybe you just need to put in some water and check the fuel filter and the oil filter. And maybe you need to drive it around the block a few times, make sure the engine is fine, and change the spark plugs and blah, 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 and practice taking those curves, right? Why do we treat our bodies, ourselves, and our subjective consciousness any different? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this was fun. This was fun. Eye dilation technique is like staring into space. Yes, it's a yes, 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 yes. Try it sometimes. There's a try looking at the furthest thing you can see. And it's the same thing about the ear technique, which is kind of listening to the closest thing you can see, which simultaneously makes it such that you can hear the furthest thing you can see or hear. And by the way, these are just things that, as I do the practices, as I said, I've been meditating forever, and I've learned all these different things. And I think that I can present it in ways that are actionable, that are practical, pragmatic, and put a context around it. The context around it we're putting today is efficiency, because that's what you want to be effective and you want to be efficient, and therefore energy is important, and you are a physical system, just like the engines and so on and so forth. And if somebody is ignoring the engine and not taking care of it, you would say, well, duh. So same thing with you. Stop it. Okay, stop it. Stop it. Start hydrating. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great experience. I'm going to go ahead right now and end the live stream. Okay, end the live stream and get back to some work here. Get back to some work. All right. Thank you very much. Salute. And perhaps I'll be dropping a bicycle video when I do my bike ride tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll drop some more jewels there. All right. Shout out to Nicer. I'm gonna figure out how to get you guys the wrenches and stuff. Okay. Shout out to Black Curtis. You've been here the whole time and you were there also at yesterday's inaugural test. Shout out to Alvin. Shout out to Jessica X. I think she showed up here a little while ago and she's still in the chat. Shout out to everyone. Damani Reeves, Mr. Neil Watson, I believe. Shout out to the Abdullahi Ibrahim. Abdullahi Ibrahim. Abdullahi Ibrahim. Shout out to Rorona, Young Swift. Shout out to all you guys, okay? Thank you.